There is a moment right before someone betrays you when their eyes change, not with hatred, with something quieter, with panic, because what they fear is not your success. It is your stillness. And once you understand that, you will never see jealousy the same way again. Most people think jealousy is about what you have, your money, your looks, your achievements. They are wrong. Jealousy has never truly been about possessions. It is about presence. It is about the unbearable sight of a person who refuses to break. Marcus Aurelius sat at the center of an empire that could collapse in a single afternoon. Wars on the borders, plagues inside the walls, men plotting behind smiles. And yet, night after night, he wrote to himself, not to impress anyone, not to be quoted centuries later, but to remind himself of one brutal truth. The world will try to disturb you, and your only power is whether you allow it. This is where the story of jealousy truly begins. Not in the heart of the jealous person, but in the calm of the one they cannot control. Think about it. Why does an insult only wound you when you believe it? Why does a rumor only burn when you feed it with fear? The people around you are not trying to take your things. They are trying to take your peace. Because your peace is the one thing they cannot fake, cannot buy, and cannot destroy without your permission. Here is the dark truth nobody tells you. Jealous people are not attacking your strength. They are exposing their own absence of it. When someone watches you stay calm during chaos, stay kind during cruelty, stay focused during failure, it does something dangerous to them. It forces them to face their own restlessness. Your silence becomes a mirror, and most people would rather destroy the mirror than look into it. This is why peaceful people are so often misunderstood. The world calls them arrogant, cold, distant. Why? Because peace, real peace, is rare enough to look suspicious. People are used to chaos. They are used to reacting, exploding, justifying, defending. So when they meet someone who does none of that, someone who simply observes, absorbs, and moves forward, it unsettles them in a way they cannot explain. Marcus understood something most leaders never grasp. Control over the empire is meaningless if you cannot control your own mind first. He wrote that the soul becomes dyed by the thoughts it constantly dwells on. Read that again. Not your actions, not your titles, your thoughts. If you allow envy, anger, or fear to live rent-free inside you, they will eventually decorate your entire personality. And the people drawn to chaos will always test whether you have given them a key to your inner home. This is the moment everything shifts. Because if your peace is your power, then every jealous person you meet is unconsciously begging you for one thing: reaction. They want you to scream so they feel justified. They want you to chase explanations so they feel important. They want you to lose your composure so they can finally say, "See, you were never better than me." But what happens when you do not give them that? Silence becomes unbearable to a mind addicted to noise. This is the brutal lesson hidden inside ancient Stoicism. Your calm is not weakness. It is a weapon they were never trained to face. They expected applause, rivalry, drama. You gave them stillness. And stillness, when worn with confidence, looks like power they cannot steal. Now here comes the twist most people never expect. Jealousy is rarely loud. It almost never announces itself. It hides behind backhanded compliments. It disguises itself as concern. "I just think you've changed. I'm just being honest. I'm just looking out for you." Sentences soaked in sweetness, but built to make you doubt the very peace you fought to build. Marcus warned against this exact trap. He said that very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Translate that into modern language, and the warning becomes obvious. Do not hand your emotional stability to people who only feel comfortable when you are struggling. Ask yourself something uncomfortable right now. How many people in your life only show warmth when you are falling apart? How many disappear the moment you start healing, growing, or rising? That is not loyalty. That is dependency on your pain. And the moment your pain disappears, so does their interest. This is the part nobody wants to admit. Some people do not want you to fail because they hate you. They want you to fail because your success reminds them of the life they were too afraid to build. So what do you do when you sense the jealousy creeping in? You do not explain yourself to people determined to misunderstand you. You do not perform your pain to satisfy their curiosity. You do not shrink your light because it casts a shadow on someone's insecurity. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet his most powerful battles were fought in private, against his own anger, against his own desire for revenge, against the temptation to prove people wrong. He chose discipline over drama. He chose principle over public approval. And in doing so, he became almost untouchable, not because nothing could hurt him, but because he refused to let outside noise decide his inner state. This is where most people get it backwards. They think peace means avoiding conflict. It does not. Peace means refusing to let conflict define you. You can be criticized and still remain calm. You can be excluded and still remain whole. You can be misunderstood and still remain unmoved. That is not coldness. That is mastery. And here is the sharpest truth in this entire lesson. The people who try hardest to shake your peace are often warning you about themselves. Watch closely. The ones who mock your discipline are usually struggling with none. The ones who criticize your boundaries are usually drowning without any. The ones who laugh at your self-control are usually controlled by everything around them. Jealousy is confession dressed as judgment. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, do not ask, why are they doing this to me? Ask, what does my calm expose in them that they cannot face alone? This single shift in thinking will change how you experience every betrayal, every insult, every cold shoulder for the rest of your life. Marcus Aurelius never wrote his private thoughts to be famous. He wrote them because he understood something timeless. Other people's opinions of you are not facts. They are reflections of their own internal world. When you finally accept this, you stop taking jealousy personally. You start seeing it for what it really is: evidence of unhealed pain in someone else's heart. This does not mean you become careless or naive. It means you become selective. You decide whose words deserve your energy and whose silence deserves your peace. You stop justifying your growth to people who only loved your struggle. You stop dimming your fire to keep cold people comfortable. Because here is the final dark truth most people discover far too late in life. Not everyone clapping for your downfall hated you. Some of them simply could not handle watching you rise without them. And not everyone staying silent during your success is jealous. Some of them are simply at peace, just like you, choosing stillness over performance. This is the deepest lesson hidden inside Stoic philosophy. Your peace was never meant to please everyone. It was meant to protect you. While others chase validation, you chase alignment. While others perform outrage, you practice restraint. While others compete for attention, you cultivate depth. So if people around you suddenly grow distant the moment you stop reacting, let them. If silence replaces friendship the moment you stop explaining yourself, let it. That distance is not loss. It is clarity. It is life quietly removing audiences who were only entertained by your chaos, not inspired by your growth. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, war, loss, and the constant threat of collapse. Yet history remembers him not for his anger, but for his composure, not for his revenge, but for his restraint. That is the legacy of true power. Not the ability to destroy your enemies, but the ability to remain unmoved while they destroy themselves trying to provoke you. So here is your warning and your final truth. The world will always test your peace. People will provoke you, misunderstand you, envy you, and try to pull you back into their chaos. But peace, once truly built from within, cannot be stolen. It can only be surrendered. So guard it, protect it, refuse to trade it for approval, drama, or revenge. Because in the end, the calmest person in the room is never the weakest one. They are simply the one who has already won a war no one else could see.